Like this 49er defense doesn't do a lot. They don't present a lot of volume. I think they're going to be in for it. The only chance I think the Niners have to win is a little bit of a shootout. And again, this Chiefs defense just continues to elevate their game.
And Alex Smith, who's worn both helmets, talking about obviously the matchup too. Let's dive in with the 49ers outstanding beat writer for The Athletic, David Lombardi, as he's packing his bag, getting ready to go down to Vegas next week. David, you got Brian Murphy, you got Marcus Boucher. How you doing, man?
Hey, morning, David.
What's up, guys? Good morning. Yeah, I haven't gotten to packing yet. It's going to be a busy week, but I'm going to be there for a while. I'm going on Sunday. I'm going when the team is going, so it's going to be 8 days. It's going to be a marathon that you have to run like a sprint. That's what the Super Bowl is.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And so just to kind of nail down what the itinerary is, like, Niners are off today, right? This is the day Kyle and the staff is drawing up the game plan. Then they go, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and fly Sunday? Is that right?
Yeah, they fly Sunday. And one of the cooler events of the Super Bowl, because I've covered one of these down in Miami a few years ago, one of the cooler events is when the plane shows up at the hangar. They land and the pilot's got a 49ers flag and he opens up the window and he mounts the 49ers flag, and this big United jet 777 or whatever it is rolls into the hangar and everybody can take a video of it and they're playing music. And anyway, they're installing the game plan as we speak, or they're devising it. They're going to install it in practice over Thursday and Friday, maybe Saturday as well. And then they fly Sunday. What Shanahan wants is for the majority of the work to be done this week, because he knows there are so many distractions once you actually get to Vegas. So he wants to get that game plan installed now.
Yeah, speaking of distractions, David, I know earlier this season when the 49ers went out to Raiders training camp, they stayed out in Henderson instead of staying on the Strip. Is that the same game plan for the Super Bowl?
It is, but they don't have much of a choice. The NFL pre-designates two hotels. Both of them are off the Strip. I think the NFL likes to keep it that way. Don't want it to be too near where everything's going on. The Chiefs are the home team, so they had their first pick of uniform and hotel. But I think both hotels are actually near each other. They're at this place called the Lake, which is 16, 17 miles outside of the Strip.
Okay, David, just fun little details before we get to the X's and O's. They're wearing white. You said the Chiefs are home, so the Niners are wearing white, but we want to make sure people don't know they're not wearing the alternate all-white, the all-whites from the 50s, right? The NFL doesn't want that?
No, they didn't even make a push this year, and the 49ers made a really, really brief push. If you remember 4 or 5 years ago after they won the NFC title, Richard Sherman told me, we really want to wear all whites. Let's put that out there, the throwback 94s. And that it was very quickly nixed because there's so much that goes into merchandise and the Super Bowl logo on jerseys and all this, I think, is pretty predetermined once it comes to the Super Bowl. So they will not be wearing the throwbacks. They're going to be wearing the uniforms that they wore for their first Super Bowl victory over the Bengals, January 1982. And for their biggest Super Bowl win ever in the 1989 season, 55-10 over the Broncos, white jerseys and gold pants.
Great knowledge there, buddy. I remember it well. And they wore the Reds in 84 at Stanford, and they wore the Reds in 88 on the comeback in Miami. And then they wore the alternates, actually, against San Diego in 94. It's kind of funny. The NFL wasn't on that yet, David. They got away with those alternates.
Yeah, they did. That was the year where they just decided to go for it the whole season. But the urban legend is that Eddie DeBartolo just paid fines the whole season. They actually got an exception fairly early on from the 49ers. You're allowed the NFL said mandated alternates twice because the NFL was celebrating its 75th anniversary that year. So the 49ers wore those alternates. And remember, they got off to a bit of a sketchy start that season, including the 40-8 loss to Philadelphia. And that was in the standard uniforms. So then when they put on the alternates and snapped the losing streak, they were like, we're just going to keep wearing these. And the players wanted it. The coaches wanted it. George Seifert was really superstitious. He wanted it. And behind the scenes, government policy went to the NFL and said, listen, everybody wants to wear these. I don't think the whole merchandise thing was as huge of a deal as it is now, and the NFL gave the 49ers permission.
That's just outstanding knowledge for a young buck like David Lombardi. I was actually on the beat that year, my first year. Lombardi's nailing it. He's got all the details right. But, David, the one thing that's happening, though, is you're dropping out. So we're actually going to just quickly hang up and call you right back. So thanks, Tony. Why don't you quickly call him and hang up and call back? There's a fun little thing that Matt Barrows has on The Athletic about all the little details going into this game, you know, the uniforms and where they're going to stay and all that stuff. But something I kind of hadn't even thought of, but the surface in Allegiant Stadium, it's grass.
It's real grass, which I know surprises a lot of people since it is an indoor stadium. But they actually have the technology where the field actually rolls outside. They put it out in the Las Vegas sun, and then it rolls back in, Murph. So, yeah, they will be playing on real grass in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, David, thanks for being patient as we hook back up on the UMA guest line there. We were just talking in that brief break there about the grass. There's going to be a grass at Allegiant Stadium, which is a good news for everybody, right?
Yeah, that is good news for everybody. That a lower injury rate on grass. Matt wrote this morning that it's grown by the same company out in Modesto that grows the grass for Levi Stadium. So the 49ers should be used to the footing. Obviously, there won't be any rain because this is inside, although I do think there is some rain in the forecast for Vegas. By the way, people who are heading out there, be ready. It's going to drop down to like 38 degrees at night. I know a lot of people don't visit Vegas at this time of the year. It's not the time to go there. And they just assume desert, warm all the time. But no, this time of the year it gets a little chilly in Vegas. So good thing the game's going to be indoors.
Yeah, indoors and playing on grass. And last weekend we saw Brock Purdy scamper across the grass for a couple 21-yard scrambles. David, I want to get your breakdown on Brock Purdy because I think nationally a lot of people were surprised by the athleticism that he's shown, but I know you've been all over the quick kind of burst, kind of speed that he has shown throughout his career. So talk to us about how much of an athlete Brock Purdy really is.
I think he's certifiably a good athlete. Nobody's saying that he's Usain Bolt. Nobody's saying that he's a world champion sprinter, but what he is somebody who moves at an elite level within the pocket, within the context of being a quarterback. And that's the most important thing and the most important skill that he can have from an athleticism perspective, because the straight line speed, that's great, but that's just a bonus to playing the position. What you really need is the movement within short quarters in the pocket. And it's not just physical athletic ability. I think there's also a sense of coordination and pocket feel that goes with it. And Purdy is able to combine all those things. But his 10-yard split of that 40-yard dash, about 155 to 16 around there, was a lot faster than you'd expect the 10-yard split for his 40 time, which was, I think, 4.849 to be. I still remember last year, this was something that fascinated me about Brock Purdy when he first came onto the scene. So I walk up to him at his locker, and Dre Greenlaw's locker neighbors with Brock. And I asked Brock about the 10-yard split, and I said it was a 1-6. And Dre was just on his phone at his locker, and Dre Greenlaw just almost fell out of his chair when he heard what that 10-yard split was. And he's like, how did you not run a 4.4? That's what Dre Greenlaw said with that 10-yard split. And Brock just kind of laughed and, was a little shy about it, a little bashful about it. But I thought that was pretty cool because, he just not correlated. He is able to move in tight quarters more quickly than anybody would expect. And I think that you really did see it in that NFC Championship game.
Good stuff with David Lombardi of The Athletic as the Niners drop the game plan today and then start the install tomorrow down in Santa Clara, fly down to Vegas Sunday, and then spend the week out there getting ready for Super Bowl 58 a week from Sunday at 3:30 at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas against the Kansas City Chiefs. David, we just got to go to maybe the biggest red flag of all, and that's the run defense. And listen, you've watched this team all year, and you saw them play pretty good run defense all year until the last 2 weeks. And I just wonder your take on it. What are you seeing? What's gone wrong, and how do they fix it?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that it actually has been pretty good all year. I think it's been mediocre at best for most of the season, but it's been shielded by the fact that they were beating teams by a lot of points, so teams hadn't been able to run all that much. True, I do agree that it's gotten worse over the past 2 weeks, but they also have been playing better competition. It's the postseason. Green Bay was the hottest team in football coming into that game, and Detroit, they did to the 49ers what the 49ers did to the Packers in that 2019 season NFC Championship game over the course of that first half. They just completely embarrassed them with the run game. So I think that you're just reaching a point of the season where having a run defense that is sketchy at best is bound to get really exposed. And that's a big problem for the 49ers heading into the Super Bowl, because the Chiefs, they're a different team than they were a few years ago. They're less explosive through the pass game. No Tyreek Hill. The receivers are worse. Travis Kelce's older. But they've got Isaiah Pacheco now, and they have a balanced offense that can really control the football with the run game. And the 49ers, I think, losing Talanoa Hufanga hurt midseason, losing Eric Armstead from weeks 13 to 18 hurt. I don't think that they've seen the edge presence that they've wanted, especially opposite Nick Bosa against the run. So losing Cleveland Farrell really hurt this team. But I think just from a schematic perspective, what's happened this year is we've seen the coverage combinations improve with Steve Wilkes, the first-year defensive coordinator, and he's a DB-oriented guy. But the run defense efficiency, it had been top 5 for years with this defense. It dropped down into the 20s this year. So I think that the focus of the defense has changed a bit, and you see that in the numbers, and you've definitely seen it on tape here over the past 2 weeks.
And David, I'm with you. I think this game's going to be decided in the trenches on both sides of the ball, not just with the 49ers defense, but also with the 49ers offense, because it seems like if there's one area of this Kansas City Chiefs defense that you can attack, it's running the ball. So how much of an X factor is Christian McCaffrey in this game, and can the 49ers put up some points on this Kansas City Chiefs defense?
Well, I look at this, and the team's profiles have traded places since they played in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. More than a couple, I guess it's 4 or 5 now. But when they played in the Super Bowl at that time, Kansas City was the number 1 offense, the most explosive offense in the league by a country mile, but they had a relatively average defense. Meanwhile, the 49ers were top 7 offense and the number 2 defense that year, behind only New England. So the 49ers had a little bit more balance than Kansas City, although Kansas City had this significantly better offense. And guess who won the Super Bowl? The team that had the more explosive offense. Well, now you look at the profiles, and the 49ers offense was making history for much of this season. They're still, you can compare them to some of the great offenses of all time with the numbers they put up. But the defense definitely has been trending more toward the mediocre side, especially over the past month or so. Kansas City, meanwhile, guess what? Efficiency-wise, their defense ranked ahead of their offense this year. The Chiefs are a lot like the 2019 49ers, whereas the 49ers, I think, are a lot like the 2019 Chiefs. So for the 49ers offense, to answer your question, I think that balance is always important. That's what they're built on, because when they've been balanced, they have been explosive. It's kept defenses on their heels, and they've done some really, really special stuff. And I think that ultimately, to beat the Chiefs, you're going to have to take a page out of the Chiefs 2019 playbook. You're going to have to show some explosiveness in this game if you're the 49ers to make up for some of that defensive erosion. And the numbers do indicate that they're very capable of doing that.
Dave, I mean, look, the Chiefs' offense, 15th in the league in points. Like, that's like Mahomes, 15th in the league. That's the facts, man. And their scoring defense, 2nd in the league. So, to your point. Wow, man. Well, listen, I mean, you're going to write a million trillion things. We're going to read them all. It's so great the Niners are back in the Super Bowl. I guess last one on the way out is just the Kyle Shanahan question. You know, there's that funny little, we were just talking about the detail that, if he doesn't win it, the monkey's on his back forever. Well, Andy Reid didn't win his till he was 61, and Kyle would have to coach 13 more years to match the Andy Reid thing. But, how big, Kyle and, his dad and all that, and just how big this is for him to finally try to shed that monkey or have to carry it for another year.
Well, I mean, it's huge, but you do look at other examples like the Andy Reid example, and it's not the end of the world if he doesn't win it. Although I'm sure it would feel like it for a while. The Super Bowl is one of those events, right? That a loss is a gut punch that's bigger than other gut punches. So there's a lot on the line for sure. It would be monumental for not only Kyle Shanahan to win it, but for this organization to win it, for the Bay Area. It's been 29 years. The 29th anniversary of Steve Young getting the monkey off of his back was 2 days ago, right, on January 29th. But you look at that Shanahan, I think he's gotten the majority of the blame unfairly for the 28-3 game. And nobody ever talks about Dan Quinn
Yeah,
for the Atlanta Falcons that year,
story,
right?
yes,
Yeah, so Shanahan's gotten the blame there, and then obviously he came to the 49ers, and he and John Lynch did a remarkable job turning this ship around. They've built a perennial contender, but the one feather in the cap that they don't have is a Super Bowl championship, and the team that stopped them when they were closest to it was this Kansas City Chiefs team. So it's poetic in so many ways that the Chiefs are the final boss this time around for the 49ers, because that's the monkey that the 49ers were not able to get off their back in 2019, and now they have another shot at it.
Too much fun, man. You're going to have, this is good what you guys do. It's what you do it for, and have a great week. We'll see you down in Vegas, buddy. We'll bump into you somewhere, somehow. And thanks for hopping on. We'll be reading every word.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Yeah, thanks again. Maybe see you guys down at Radio Row, right?
There it is in the big old room. David Lombardi of The Athletic. And to that point, Marcus,